I met Rudy in 1951 in early September when we both started public school. And he was in the same class as me.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know a word of English at that time.
Right.
So he was the only Italian in that class. And so he came to me and he told me he was Italian, so it was Calabrese, so we started talking in Calabrese. And so when I needed to know some words, like I went to him and I said, well, how do you say this or how say that, And he told me, and whenever I heard a word which I didn't know what it was, or went to him. So it was like a second teacher in a way, for me.
Yeah.
And it was very nice because that's when we became friends, because from then on we kept in touch.
Yeah.
And this goes a little bit later, a few years later, that I was living at Charlotte Street at the time.
With your uncle?
Yeah, next to your house where you lived.
Next to the Zuccoli where
The
I used to
Zuccoli
live.
where you used to live.
Yeah.
And he was working at a gas station on Regent Street.
Yeah.
And so he saw me and he asked me, he said, Frank, there's an Italian girl that goes by here often enough, and I see her, and I like her, It says, I wonder if you can find out her phone number. And when he described me, this girl, and I said, well, that's the only Italian girl. She lives next to me, that's Rita.
Well, I remember Rita and Rudy's wedding because I stood for their wedding, and I met Rita and Rudy back a year before because I was going out with Rita's brother, Rick, who in fact I married 2 weeks after Rita and Rudy's wedding. And I remember also Rick had a DeSoto, and that was used in the wedding, and Judy Niceforo was the maid of honor, and Rick was the best man. So they drove the DeSoto, and Rita and Rudy were in the back. And after we were all married, we all stayed together at Valeria's house, Rita's mom. And I can remember I used to be the first one home from work, and Nona Bisa was home, of course, and I guess Valeria and Avelino were in Thompson, Manitoba, so they weren't home then. So I used to be the first one home, and Nona Bisa and I would start supper. So one particular night I got home and I remember asking her for brown sugar. Well, she didn't understand brown sugar. I was speaking very little Italian, so I just said nere, black sugar, I guess, and eventually the message got across, and we used to be able to converse with one another. In fact, the rest of everybody in the house used to try to sneak in the kitchen when I was talking to her. When Greg and Roseanne were about 2 to 3 years old, it was one particular Christmas that instead of waiting for the morning, everybody got the kids up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and here we were, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. The kids were having a whale of a time playing around with their toys and riding cars and whatever. And another thing I remember was when we all lived together, Roseanne used to be mesmerized when I'd put my makeup on before going to work, and she'd always sit there in the bathroom with me all the time. And let me think. Rita and I were good friends back then, and she used to work for a lingerie shop. It was Lorraine's Foundations, I believe. And I got some pretty nice lingerie for a pretty good price. And finally, one particular thing I remember with Rita is that everybody at the house used to get annoyed with me because I'd miss church, and they'd say, well, you know, you've got to go to church. And one particular time, I said to Rita, I said, I don't want to go to church because I'm going to have to go to confession, and I'm going to have to say how many times I missed church. She says, well, just tell them you told some lies.
The dances haven't changed too much, dancing, the way they dance.
Dance.
But that's not the same dance. It's different dance.
I don't know who that is.
Just on the violin.
So you don't remember any of this wedding, Mom? You don't remember any of it?
Who?
You don't remember any of it? There's I am.
Oh, look at you. Look how good you look.
Oh, they're going away on their honeymoon.
No, I've no memory of being there.
I had the old 56 Monarch.
No, it died at the wedding. Por Germano.
Oh yeah, that's right, Germano.
You had a black Pontiac.
I had a 1960 Pontiac Prairie Jane. Comprar? Yes?
Now, do you remember what kind of car I had?
You had a DeSoto.
See? I didn't even remember.
You didn't remember that?
No.
Listen,
You better stop drinking, you boy.
Ricky,
Jesus Christ.
talk about fish, hunt,
I know,
and
I know,
cars.
I know.
He'll give you all the answers.
The DeSoto was a cream colored car. Cream colored car. Push button. They used to call it Hydromatic. It was a brand new car that came out in 1960. And it was cream in color, 2-door.
But when I got married, Jerry drove my Monarch.
Jerry.
Bouillon.
My uncle.
Yeah, your uncle. Not
Your uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it died
He-
on him.
Yeah.
At the Laurentian Hotel, if you remember, on LaSalle. Now they've got the drive-in, they've got all that stuff there now, eh?
Yeah. He burned the goddamn transmission. I think he drove the damn car all through town on low gears.
Back then, in 1960, that was 60, that's when I started to work for Inco. I started to work for Inco back in September of that year. Yeah, that's when I started. Back then, I used to weigh 135 pounds.
I know you had a hard time to get a job at Radio Lake.
Exactly, because of the weight.
Look at this, 1963, Jerry Bouillon, dealer license. This was the old seal. Remember, we used to they had to button the seal back at the deer.
Yeah. What are you doing with this?
I don't know. I kept it all these years.
There's a reason for everything, eh? Oh my God, look at Pee-wee.
Yeah, I don't know why I kept it.
Billy Benedici.
See, 135 pounds.
Oh, Lord love us.
Yeah, between the ears.
Yeah. What's the matter with you?
It was myself and then the saxophone player that had to be Mio.
See, I don't remember that part.
And there was only four of us, and then
It was only for the band.
and Peter Snyder on bass. There'll be five of us
Yeah,
playing on the thing.
Yeah.
If that's the same guys we're talking about.
yeah.
'Cause
yeah.
Frank would have got the job that time. There was 4 of us.
No, I think you got the job through
No.
me.
Yeah, but I mean, we were playing the band, the 5 guys. Well, the first time I met Rudy was at Prince Charles School. We were all a bunch of kids there. We were all into bicycles, and there was English Brothers on Durham Street, and
Yeah.
he was always talking about this 10-speed that time came out, the derailing chain.
Yeah.
And he wanted one bad, and then we started going down looking at the stores, and we seen it, and we always had something, at recess we always had something to talk about. But that's a long time ago. And I don't know if you ever ended buying a bike, a 10-speeder or 12-speed that time from English Brothers.
They're very nice.
If you,
What?
you know
My
people
God, every
in there, I don't
handsome-
even know who.
That's my cousin Nazareno,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that's his wife there. I guess I don't know.
Who's
guess
that? Do you know? I don't know.
No, that one I don't know. Him I don't know.
What
Okay.
hall were they at? Was it Caruso?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. Look at that. Isn't that
Yeah.
nice, eh? What a nice,
Yeah.
isn't that a nice picture of the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is cute.
There you are.
Oh, there I am. Yeah. Oh my
This
God. what
this
a-
guy.
Couldn't we look nice like that?
Yeah. he's the perlator guy.
Was I the maid of honor? No,
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think who was
Yeah.
the maid of honor? But I was sitting right next to her.
Maybe
So
you were.
Isn't the maid of honor usually the first one?
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, and your grandpa.
Yeah.
And your grandma. Yeah. Very nice. Now, yeah, this was at St. Clement's, eh?
Mhm. Well, it's not there anymore.
Well, see
Maybe
that?
you
As-
were.
Maybe I was. Here's Lois, and here's Patsy.
Maybe you were the maid of
And I,
honor.
yeah. Oh, these are nice pictures. Oh, my eyes are closed in there.
Thinking, just reliving some of the memories that I had back on Spruce Street when I was a little girl. One fond memory I had was being at, Mom and Dad would be sitting in the living room watching TV, and I was in bed, and my bedroom was next to the kitchen. And sometimes on a Saturday night, a little later, or maybe around 10 o'clock, I would assume my Uncle Peter would show up for a visit. And that was back in the day when, he'd bring Chinese food from a local Chinese place on Lawrence Street. I think it was called the Golden Gate Restaurant or something. Anyways, the family'd sit in the kitchen, and then they'd have a few of their famous rye and Pepsis and start chatting. And sometimes I'd remember hearing noises, laughter and stuff from the kitchen, and I'd end up waking myself up and going in the kitchen to see what was going on. And sometimes I already knew that what was happening, so I'd go and they'd be all celebrating or just having a good time together. And I always remember, I remember this fondly, was my Uncle Peter. He always spoke about me singing this song. Actually, this summer at camp, he mentioned it again, and this has been quite some time. I'm going to say a good 40 years had passed since I've done this. And he'd asked me to sing this song, and my dad too, he'd say, okay, go sing your song. And I'd go to in the back landing of my grandmother's house, and I'd stand there, and this is what I would do. Standing in that silent hall, waiting for the final call, says he doesn't love me anymore. Shaking hands, I pack a bag, trembling voice, I call a cab. Slowly I start walking to the door. The cab arrives, he blows his horn, I stumble out in the early morn. Tell him of a place I have to go. Hit 100 signal lights, theater belts in a traffic flight. Getting to these doors has been so slow. LA International Airport, where the big jet engines roar. LA International Airport, I won't see him anymore.
Okay, well, I went to Neely's one day after school for probably Pasta Wednesday, and during the summer, and Uncle Darren told me to go in the back and help one of the guys with the boxes, and it was actually kind of hard because I had to throw the boxes up and I couldn't really do it, and the boxes had to be going like 10 feet up in the air, and I got all sweaty from it, and I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna work here.
Neely's Van and Storage. Big wheels are spinning, moving down the road. The tires are humming and we got a heavy load. No matter where you're moving, no matter how far, Neely's Van and Storage will always get you there. Yes, Neely's Van and Storage has been in the moving business since 1940. Fast and safe delivery from coast to coast. Neely's Van and Storage, phone 522-3322. Neely's Van and Storage.
Guitars. My favorite guitar today. The Gretsch, Dan Electro, Ricky, Fender, PRS, and the Gibson.
A childhood memory that I have from when I was about 5 or 6 was when we went down to Florida with the motorhome, and it was Mom and Dad, Nona Valeria, Darren. I'm not sure if Roseanne was there. I was pretty young. And one night we were by the fire. We were having a big bonfire, and as 5-year-olds do, I was playing all around the fire, and I don't know, Mom and Dad were drinking or something, I don't know. Anyways, and I was rocking in my lawn chair backwards, against my butt against the fire, and I flipped over right into the fire, and Darren caught me, quick grab, and but unfortunately I did put a big hole in my brown polyester pants.
I didn't live in Rudyville for very long. I moved when I was 2, but from what I can remember, I remember going to the corner store with Walks with Nona and Nona. I remember that they were always there with every sport I played, all my games, they were always there, even when I was little and I went skating, Nona was there with me. When I got my tonsils out, Nona was there taking care of me, trying to force me to eat Jell-O, even though I couldn't because it hurt. But she was there for me bright and early, and she stayed with me. And then Nona came by too, and then Jake came by too, and everybody was having pasta and meatballs, and I was stuck eating Jell-O.
Neely's Van and Storage. A big
says he doesn't love me anymore. Shaking hands, I pack a bag, trembling voice, I call a cab. Slowly I start walking to the door. The cab arrives, he blows his horn, I stumble out in the early morn. Tell him of the place I've got to go. Hit 100 signal lights, Peterbilt's and a traffic fight. Getting through these doors has been so slow. LA International Airport, where the big jet engines roar. LA International Airport, I won't see him anymore. Stewardess in a miniskirt, a hippie in a leather shirt, started on the way to Naples Road. While I'm wondering where it's at, I see a Paris diplomat. College kids are trying to get back. Oh, baggage cart goes quickly by. See my case and I start to cry. Stumble to the lounge to be alone. And while I'm trying to get some rest, I bite my lips and try my best to fight the pain that's making me leave home. LA International Airport, where the big jet engines roar. LA International Airport, I won't see him anymore. With silver wings across the sky, vapor trails that wave goodbye to those below who've got to stay at home. I wish that I had flown at night so I could take that champagne flight, rid myself of every tear I own. Soaring high above the heavens in a 747, fighting back the tears that curse my eyes. Captain's voice so loud and clear amplifies into my ear, assuring me I'm flying friendly skies. LA International